Hello everyone, this is the Earth Archives. Everyone is accustomed to time. Whether it is a watch, alarm clock or mobile phone, everyone can determine the current time. But if the concept of time is broken, what impact will it have on you and me? Before the show starts, please help subscribe, like and turn on the little bell. This will help the Earth Archives grow. The show starts. The eternal enigma. Time. It's the silent companion to every heartbeat, the invisible force that guides the cosmos. From the moment we open our eyes to the world, time begins to shape our lives. But what is time? How did humanity come to understand it? To answer these questions, we embark on a journey that stretches from the birth of the universe to the dawn of human consciousness, exploring the intricate tapestry of time itself. The genesis of time. The dawn of the universe, time's beginning. The story of time begins with the universe's birth, an event known as the Big Bang. Before this monumental explosion, time as we know it did not exist. In an instant, around 13.8 billion years ago, the universe expanded from an infinitely small point, creating not only space but also time. This marked the birth of what physicists call space-time, the very fabric of our universe. Time is inextricably linked with space, forming a four-dimensional continuum that defines the structure of the universe. From this moment forward, time began its relentless march, guiding the evolution of galaxies, stars, and planets. But in this early universe, time was a vast, almost incomprehensible concept, something far removed from the human experience. The flow of time, entropy, and the arrow of time. One of the most profound aspects of time is its unidirectional flow, known as the arrow of time. This concept is deeply tied to entropy, a measure of disorder in a system. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that in a closed system, entropy tends to increase over time, meaning the universe is moving from a state of order to disorder. This increase in entropy gives time its direction, pushing the universe towards greater complexity and, eventually, a state of maximum disorder. This is why we perceive time as moving forward from the past into the future. The arrow of time defines the cosmic journey, from the initial conditions of the Big Bang to the potential heat death of the universe, where all energy will be evenly distributed, and time as we know it may cease to have meaning. The human encounter with time. Early human perception, the rhythms of nature. Before the invention of clocks or calendars, early humans lived in a world where time was not measured by numbers, but by the cycles of nature. The rising and setting of the sun, the phases of the moon, the changing seasons, these were the first indicators of time. For early humans, time was not an abstract concept but a tangible experience, closely tied to survival. In this prehistoric world, the passage of time was understood through events. A day began with sunrise and ended with sunset. A year was marked by the arrival of spring, the abundance of summer, the harvest of autumn, and the scarcity of winter. This cyclical understanding of time shaped the lives of early humans, guiding their migrations, agricultural activities, and social structures. The first timekeepers, from stone circles to sundials. As human societies evolved, so did their need to track time more precisely. The earliest timekeeping devices were the natural landscapes themselves. Stone circles like Stonehenge in England were aligned with the solstices, allowing ancient peoples to mark the passage of the seasons. These structures were not just ceremonial sites. They were early calendars that helped communities plan agricultural activities and religious festivals. The invention of the sundial marked a significant advancement in human timekeeping. By observing the shadow cast by a stick or stone, ancient peoples could divide the day into segments, introducing the concept of hours. The Egyptians, for example, used sundials to divide the day into 12 parts, laying the groundwork for the modern 24-hour day. The birth of calendars, organizing time. As civilizations became more complex, the need for more accurate timekeeping systems arose. The development of calendars was a crucial step in this process. The earliest calendars were lunar, based on the cycles of the moon. These calendars were used by ancient cultures such as the Sumerians and Egyptians to predict the timing of important events like floods, harvests, and religious ceremonies. The transition from lunar to solar calendars represented a major leap in humanity's understanding of time. The Egyptians were among the first to adopt a solar calendar, dividing the year into 365 days. This allowed them to accurately predict the annual flooding of the Nile, which was essential for their agricultural society. The Roman calendar, which evolved into the Julian and later the Gregorian calendar, further refined this system, bringing us closer to the calendar we use today. Time in civilization. The invention of clocks, measuring time with precision. The next major milestone in humanity's relationship with time was the invention of the clock. The earliest mechanical clocks appeared in medieval Europe, driven by gears and weights. These early timepieces were large and often inaccurate, but they represented a significant advancement in the ability to measure time. The invention of the pendulum clock in the 17th century by Christian Huygens revolutionized timekeeping. Pendulum clocks were far more accurate than their predecessors, allowing for precise measurement of hours, minutes, and seconds. This newfound accuracy transformed society, making it possible to schedule events, regulate work hours, and synchronize activities across regions. Time as a social construct, the division of days and hours. As timekeeping became more precise, societies began to standardize the division of time. The division of the day into 24 hours, each hour into 60 minutes, and each minute into 60 seconds has its roots in ancient Babylonian mathematics, which used a base 60 system. This system was later adopted by the Greeks and Romans and eventually became the standard for measuring time. The ability to measure time in smaller units allowed for greater coordination in society. It enabled the scheduling of events, the regulation of work, and the synchronization of activities across different regions. Time became a tool for organizing human life, shaping the structure of societies and economies. The Industrial Revolution, time and productivity. The Industrial Revolution marked a dramatic shift in humanity's relationship with time. The rise of factories and mass production created a new emphasis on efficiency and productivity. Time became a commodity, something to be measured, managed, and maximized. The factory system introduced the concept of the workday, with workers expected to adhere to strict schedules and work for a set number of hours each day. This shift had profound implications for society, as people's lives became increasingly regulated by the clock. Time discipline became a central aspect of modern life, influencing everything from work patterns to social interactions. The science of time. Newton's time, the absolute and unchanging. In the 17th century, Sir Isaac Newton laid the foundations of classical physics with his laws of motion and universal gravitation. Central to Newton's view of the universe was the concept of absolute time. According to Newton, time flowed uniformly and unchangingly, independent of the observer or the events taking place. This notion of time as absolute and constant became the cornerstone of classical mechanics. For centuries, scientists and philosophers accepted this view, believing that time was a universal constant, ticking away at the same rate for everyone, everywhere. However, this understanding of time would eventually be challenged by new discoveries in the 20th century. Time and human culture. Time in religion, the sacred and the eternal. Time has always played a central role in religious beliefs and practices. In many cultures, time is seen as a sacred entity, a gift from the divine. Religious calendars, festivals, and rituals are often closely tied to the cycles of nature, marking the passage of time in a spiritual context. In Christianity, time is linear, moving from the creation of the world to the final judgment. In contrast, many Eastern religions, such as Hinduism and Buddhism, view time as cyclical, with the universe undergoing endless cycles of creation, destruction, and rebirth. These differing views of time reflect the diverse ways in which human cultures understand and relate to the concept of time. Time in literature and art, the human experience. Time has always been a central theme in literature and art, reflecting humanity's deep fascination with its passage. From the ancient epics of Gilgamesh and the Iliad to modern novels like Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, time is often depicted as a force that shapes human destiny. Artists have also explored the concept of time through their work. Salvador Dali's famous painting, The Persistence of Memory, depicts melting clocks in a surreal landscape, symbolizing the fluid and subjective nature of time. In literature, time travel has become a popular theme, with stories exploring the possibilities and paradoxes of moving through time. The modern world, time and technology. In the modern world, technology has transformed our relationship with time. The invention of the clock, the calendar, and more recently, the digital watch and smartphone has allowed us to measure, track, and manage time with unprecedented precision. We live in an era where time is a constant presence, governing our daily lives, work schedules, and social interactions. The acceleration of technology has also led to the phenomenon of time compression, where the pace of life seems to be constantly speeding up. In a world of instant communication, fast travel, and 24/7 connectivity, time has become a precious commodity, something to be managed, optimized, and often lamented. The philosophy of time. What is time really? As we reach the end of our journey, we are left with the fundamental question, what is time? Despite the advances in science, philosophy, and culture, time remains one of the most elusive and mysterious concepts in human thought. Is time an objective reality, something that exists independently of our perception, or is it a construct of the human mind, a way of making sense of the world around us? Philosophers have debated the nature of time for centuries, from the ancient Greeks to modern thinkers like Martin Heidegger and Henry Bergson. Some argue that time is an illusion, a product of human consciousness, while others see it as a fundamental aspect of the universe, woven into the very fabric of reality. The human experience, living in time. Ultimately, time is more than just a scientific concept or a philosophical puzzle. It is the essence of human experience. Our lives are shaped by time, from the moment we are born to the moment we die. Time is the medium through which we experience the world, create memories, form relationships, and build our identities. The illusion of time, Einstein's paradox, and the nature of reality. Time, a fundamental mystery. Time is a concept that touches every aspect of our lives. We wake up to the tick of the clock, schedule our days, celebrate anniversaries, and watch the seasons change. Despite its pervasive presence, time remains one of the greatest enigmas in science and philosophy. Albert Einstein's assertion that time is an illusion challenges our fundamental understanding of reality. But what does it mean for time to be an illusion? How does this affect our understanding of the past, present, and future? The nature of time before Einstein. Time in classical physics. Before Einstein's revolution, time was perceived as an absolute, immutable entity. In the classical framework, time was a constant backdrop against which events occurred. Sir Isaac Newton in the 17th century described time as absolute, meaning it flowed uniformly everywhere, unaffected by the events within it. According to this view, time was a reliable and constant measure that existed independently of the physical universe. In this classical view, past, present, and future were distinct and separate. The past was a collection of events that had occurred, the present was the immediate moment of experience, and the future was a realm of possibilities that had yet to unfold. This linear progression seemed natural and straightforward, aligning with our everyday experiences. The influence of Einstein's theories. Einstein's work in the early 20th century transformed our understanding of time. His theories of relativity challenged the notion of absolute time and introduced the concept of space-time, a four-dimensional continuum where time and space are interwoven. Special relativity, 1905. Einstein's theory of special relativity, published in 1905, revolutionized our concept of time. The theory proposed that time is not a constant, unchanging backdrop, but is relative to the observer's state of motion. According to special relativity, time can stretch or compress depending on how fast an observer is moving relative to the speed of light. This phenomenon, known as time dilation, means that two observers moving at different speeds will measure different intervals of time between the same events. General relativity, 1915. Einstein's general theory of relativity, published in 1915, further expanded our understanding of time by incorporating gravity. In this theory, gravity is not a force but a curvature in space-time caused by massive objects. The presence of a massive object, such as a planet or a star, warps the fabric of space-time, causing time to move more slowly in stronger gravitational fields. This effect, known as gravitational time dilation, has been confirmed by numerous experiments and observations. Time as an illusion. The block universe theory. One of the most profound implications of relativity is the block universe theory. In this model, time is treated as another dimension, similar to the three spatial dimensions. Just as all points in space exist simultaneously, all points in time are equally real. This means that the past, present, and future are not separate entities, but part of a unified, four-dimensional space-time. In the block universe, the distinction between past, present, and future becomes a matter of perspective rather than objective reality. The idea that we experience time as a continuous flow from past to present to future is an illusion created by our consciousness moving through space-time. In reality, all moments in time exist simultaneously, and the experience of time passing is just our way of perceiving this multidimensional reality. The relativity of simultaneity. Another concept that contributes to the idea of time as an illusion is the relativity of simultaneity. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, whether two events are simultaneous depends on the observer's frame of reference. For example, two lightning strikes hitting opposite ends of a moving train might appear simultaneous to someone on the ground, but to someone on the train, one strike might occur before the other. This relativity of simultaneity means that there is no absolute now that is the same for all observers. Instead, the experience of simultaneity, and therefore the perception of time, varies depending on one's relative motion. This further supports the idea that time is not an objective reality, but a relative experience shaped by our frame of reference. Time dilation, experiencing the flexibility of time. Time dilation, a phenomenon predicted by relativity, demonstrates the flexible nature of time. Time dilation occurs when an object moves at high speeds or is in a strong gravitational field, causing time to pass more slowly for that object relative to an observer in a different frame of reference. This effect has been observed in experiments with atomic clocks flown on airplanes or placed in satellites, which show that time indeed flows differently depending on velocity and gravitational strength. The fact that time dilation is a measurable and observable phenomenon underscores the idea that time is not a fixed universal constant, but a dynamic aspect of our reality. The impact on past, present, and future. The present moment. The concept of the present moment is central to our experience of time. We perceive the present as the point in time that we are currently experiencing. However, in the block universe, the present is just a moving slice of space-time through which our consciousness is traveling. This means that the present is not an objective, universally agreed-upon moment, but a subjective experience based on our position in space-time. The now we experience is a result of our awareness moving through different points in time, and what we perceive as the present is constantly shifting as we move through the block universe. The future, a realm of possibilities. In the block universe, the future is not a realm of uncertainty, but an already existing part of space-time. The future is fixed and unchanging, much like the past. Our experience of the future as something that is yet to unfold is an illusion created by our movement through space-time. This view raises questions about determinism and free will. If the future already exists, does this mean that our actions are predetermined? Are we simply following a predetermined path through space-time? While this perspective suggests that the future is set, it does not necessarily negate the experience of making choices and influencing outcomes. Philosophical and practical implications. The role of consciousness in time. If time is an illusion created by our consciousness, it raises profound questions about the nature of reality. Is time something that exists independently of our awareness, or is it a construct of our minds? Some philosophers and physicists suggest that time might be a product of our consciousness, a way for our minds to make sense of the complex and multidimensional nature of reality. This perspective challenges traditional views of time as an objective entity and suggests that our experience of time might be more subjective and personal than we realize. It also implies that our perception of time might be shaped by our cognitive processes and the way we interpret the world. Memory and identity. Our perception of time is closely linked to memory and identity. We remember the past, experience the present, and anticipate the future. If time is an illusion, what does this mean for memory and our sense of self? In the block universe, memory might be seen as a way of accessing different points in space-time that our consciousness has already passed through. This perspective changes our understanding of how we relate to our past experiences and how they shape our identity. Memory might be less about recalling a past that is gone and more about re-experiencing a part of space-time that still exists but is no longer in our present. Embracing the illusion. Einstein's assertion that time is an illusion invites us to reconsider our understanding of reality. The idea that time is not an absolute linear progression, but a flexible dimension intertwined with space, challenges our intuitive perceptions and opens up new possibilities for exploring the nature of existence.